You open your eyes. The sky is wrong. Not the color, not the shape, something deeper. There's no haze, no contrail, no hum of distant traffic, no far-off engine, no plane blinking across the stars. Just silence. A silence so total, it feels like pressure on your eardrums. You sit up. Cold grass. Wet soil. A wind that smells like nothing you've smelled before. No exhaust, no plastic, no perfume. Just wet earth. And something else underneath it. Something animal. You are 50,000 years in the past. No phone. No fire. No weapon. No idea which direction is home. Because home doesn't exist yet. Not the one you know. You have maybe 6 hours before the temperature drops low enough to kill you. The question isn't, what would you do? The question is, could you survive the first night at all? Let's slow down for a second because your brain is about to do something dangerous. It's going to tell you a comforting lie. It's going to say, I know how to make fire. I've seen it done. I could figure out food. I'm smart. I'd be fine. That confidence is the first thing that dies out here. Because 50,000 years ago isn't a campsite. It isn't a survival show with cameras just out of frame and a production van 2 miles away. There is no van. There is no rescue. There is no tomorrow guaranteed. And the version of Earth you've landed on doesn't care that you were a straight-A student or that you once watched a video on how to start a fire with a bow drill. Watching and doing are separated by hours of blistered hands and failure. You don't have hours. You have daylight. So let's actually walk through this. Not the fantasy. The real thing. The first 10 minutes. You're standing in a landscape that looks almost familiar. Grass, trees, a distant tree line. And that familiarity is the trap. Because somewhere in that grass, or behind that tree line, is something that has never once in its life seen anything like you. No fear response. No learned caution. Instinct. 50,000 years ago, the world is still full of megafauna, cave lions bigger than any lion alive today, short-faced bears that could look a grown man in the eye standing on all fours, woolly rhinos, giant hyenas, and you, soft skin, no claws, no fangs, moving slower than almost anything else in that ecosystem. You are, biologically speaking, a snack. Here's the part most people never consider. You don't even know what's dangerous. Every warning sign you've ever learned, a rattle, a growl, a specific shape in the grass, was taught to you by a world with textbooks and documentaries. Strip that away and you're left with raw animal instinct, and human instinct alone is not very good. We're not fast. We're not strong. We don't have night vision. Our one edge, the only one, is a brain built for problem solving under pressure. So, within the first 10 minutes, you've already failed your first test without realizing it. You don't know what's watching you. The water problem. Say you survived the first hour. Say nothing found you. Now you're thirsty, and thirst becomes urgent faster than people expect. Dehydration starts affecting your judgment within a few hours. And bad judgment out here doesn't mean a headache. It means death. You need water. Obvious, right? Except, how do you know which water is safe? You can't read a label. There's no ranger station with a sign. Stagnant pools breed parasites that will not kill you today. They'll kill you in 4 days when you're too weak to do anything about it. Moving water is safer, generally, but generally isn't a guarantee. And out here, guarantees don't exist. And even if you find safe water, how do you carry it? You have no bottle. No container. Nothing. This is where most people's mental simulation quietly breaks down. We picture the discovery. Found water, and skip the part where you have no way to store it, no way to boil it, no way to transport it more than a mouthful at a time cupped in your hands. One problem solved reveals 3 more waiting underneath it. Fire is not what you think it is. Let's talk about fire, because this is where the fantasy really falls apart. You've seen someone spin a stick against a board in a video and get a coal in 90 seconds. What the video doesn't show you, the 100 failed attempts before that, the exact species of wood needed, the bone-dry tinder prepared in advance, the technique refined over years. Real early humans didn't discover fire-making by accident on day 1 of being stranded. It took our species, the actual, full, capable Homo sapiens, hundreds of thousands of years of cumulative, taught, practice knowledge to reliably produce fire on demand. You are not starting from 0. You are starting from negative, because you also don't know which wood works, which doesn't, How dry is dry enough? Or what shape of friction actually generates a coal instead of a heap of sawdust? And here's the twist. Even if, by some miracle, you get an ember, you still need to feed it, shelter it from wind, and grow it into something that survives the night, all while it's getting dark, and the temperature is dropping, and everything with sharp teeth is becoming more active, not less. Fire isn't a checkbox. It's a skill passed down through hundreds of generations, and you're trying to reinvent it alone, in real time, with your life as the price of failure. The loneliest part. Here's something almost nobody thinks about, and it might be the most dangerous problem of all. You are alone. Not alone like a solo camping trip, where you know help is a phone call away. Alone like there is no other human being who knows you exist. 50,000 years ago, human populations are sparse, scattered, tribal. If there is a group of people within walking distance, they are not expecting you. They don't speak anything resembling a language you'd recognize, and their first reaction to a stranger appearing out of nowhere is far more likely to be threat response than hospitality. Humans are not built to survive alone. This is the part the myth of the rugged individual always gets wrong. Our actual superpower was never brute strength or sharp claws. It was cooperation, groups, shared knowledge, someone watching your back while you sleep. Alone, you lose access to almost everything that made our species dominant in the first place. No lookout, no division of labor, no one to help carry water, watch for predators, or drag you back if you're hurt. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If the thing that made humans successful was other humans, what does that say about the version of you standing alone in the grass right now? Night falls. This is where it gets brutal. No fire. Maybe minimal shelter. A hollow, a rock overhang if you're lucky enough to find one before dark. The temperature drops. Your body, evolved for a very different modern lifestyle of insulated homes and layered clothing, is not prepared for exposed night air with nothing but the clothes on your back. And this is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Hypothermia doesn't feel like an emergency until it's nearly too late. It creeps in as sluggishness, confusion, a strange false sense of warmth right before the body starts shutting down non-essential functions to protect the core. People who die of exposure often don't realize they're dying. They just feel tired, and then they stop feeling anything. Meanwhile, the night is not silent. It's the opposite. Every rustle, every distant call, every snap of a branch is a question you can't answer. Is that coming toward me? Most people, dropped into this exact scenario with zero preparation, do not survive the first night. Not because they're weak. Because the environment is simply not built for an unprepared, unarmed, alone modern human. So, how did anyone actually survive this? Here's where the story flips. Because real humans, your ancestors, did survive this. Not by accident. Not through individual heroics. Through something much stranger and much more powerful. Inherited knowledge. Every skill you'd need out here. Which plants are edible, which water sources are safe, how to make fire, how to build shelter, how to track and hunt. None of it was invented on the spot by any single person. It was accumulated, tested, passed down. A child learned it from a parent, who learned it from a grandparent, going back generations, each one adding a small refinement, each failure feeding the next attempt. This is the actual secret weapon of our species. And it's almost invisible, because it doesn't look like a weapon at all. It's culture. Teaching, language, even in its earliest, most primitive forms. The ability to pass a discovery from one mind to another without each person having to rediscover it through painful trial and error. A lone modern human, no matter how intelligent, is missing this entire inheritance. You know 1,000 disconnected facts, but almost none of the specific, tested, local knowledge that would actually keep you alive in this exact place, on this exact night. The twist nobody expects. Here's the part that reframes everything. The early humans living through this era weren't primitive in the way pop culture imagines. Grunting cavemen swinging clubs. By 50,000 years ago, humans were already crafting detailed tools, creating symbolic art, likely using complex language, and organizing into structured social groups with roles, rituals, and shared strategies. They weren't struggling against nature blindly. They were reading it. Tracking migration patterns of animals across seasons, understanding which plants healed and which killed, recognizing weather patterns days in advance from subtle shifts in wind and cloud. In other words, the people who actually lived here weren't disadvantaged versions of us. We are the disadvantaged versions of them, dropped into their world. Every convenience of modern life, GPS, supermarkets, thermostats, hospitals, has quietly stripped away the specific survival literacy that used to be common knowledge for every single human being on Earth. We didn't become smarter. We became specialized. And specialization is invisible until you're standing in a field 50,000 years ago with none of the infrastructure that specialization depends on. The bigger realization. This is where the thought experiment stops being about the past and starts being about you, right now, today. Every skill keeping you alive this second. The food in your kitchen, the water from your tap, the roof over your head, is not something you personally know how to produce from raw nature. It's something an enormous invisible network of other humans, past and present, built for you. Farmers you'll never meet. Engineers who designed water treatment decades ago. Generations of accumulated knowledge compressed into a light switch you flip without a second thought. We like to imagine ourselves as self-sufficient. The truth is almost the opposite. Modern humans are more dependent on collective knowledge than any humans who have ever lived. We've just outsourced the dependency so completely that it's become invisible. The early humans surviving 50,000 years ago weren't relying on any one genius. They were relying on the accumulated, tested, shared intelligence of everyone who came before them. That's not a weakness. That might be the single greatest survival adaptation in the history of life on Earth. The ability to hand knowledge forward, so no one ever has to start from zero. Back to you. So, back to the field. Back to the cold grass, the wrong-feeling sky, the 6 hours before nightfall. Could you survive? Not with luck. Not with movie logic. With what you actually, personally know how to do with your own two hands. Alone, right now. If the honest answer makes you uncomfortable. That's the point. That discomfort isn't a flaw in you. It's evidence of exactly how much invisible support modern life provides every single second. Support so seamless you've never had to notice it until this exact question forced you to. The scariest part of waking up 50,000 years ago isn't the cold, or the darkness, or the things moving in the grass. It's realizing that everything keeping you alive today was never really you. It was always everyone who came before you, quietly surviving so you'd never have to.